Oh, didn't see you there. Well, anyways, welcome to Storytime with Blake. Today, we'll be reading a horror story for Survivor YouTube, because this week's theme is horror. Alright, so this story is called Schlinkenberg, and I wrote it myself. I didn't have paper, so I wrote it on paper towel. That's thriftiness for all you vocab fanatics out there. Alright, well, let's get started. I don't know those. Okay, well. Once upon a time, there was a boy. He was a very ugly boy. He had a mullet, a giant nose, lots of hair everywhere, and he weighed upward 900 pounds. No offense to any others who match that description. His name was Schlinkenberg. Schlinkenberg lived like any other 16-year-old child, other than the fact that he was 900 pounds and had a name like Schlinkenberg. Did I mention he had no friends? Well, he didn't have any friends either. In fact, people truly despised him. Not necessarily because he was repulsive, because he was a real jerk too. He didn't talk to anyone, and all he did all day was waddle down the halls bumping into people and writing in his notebook. No one bothered or cared enough to know what he drew or wrote in his notebook, but what he drew was truly disgusting. Would you like me to tell you what he drew? I don't care, I'll tell you anyway. He drew his fellow schoolmates being murdered in frighteningly creative ways. One day, while Schlinkenberg was waddling down the school's hallway, he bumped into someone and dropped his notebook. A nice girl named Sally picked it up for him. She was giving it to him as she noticed his masterpiece he made of her. She was being slingshotted into a wall made of knives. She quickly handed him the notebook and ran off. She's seen too much, he thought. Little Sally was scared and didn't know what to do. She decided to tell her friends Anne and Tanya about the incident. Her friends both agreed that she shouldn't be worried at all. They were wrong. After school that day, Sally was walking home when she was thrown into a sack. When she was pulled out of the sack, she was in a room with a crude large slingshot in the middle and a wall made of knives. She began freaking out and screaming for help, but nothing was working because she was tied up and no one but Schlinkelberg was anywhere nearby. Tanya and Anne were worried about her because she wasn't answering their texts or calls to her. They went out looking for her and heard screams coming from a house. They went and looked through a basement window and saw Sally. OMG. OM goodness. They broke through the window and stopped Schlinkelberg before he executed his dastardly plan. They put him in the slingshot instead and gave him what he deserved. This next part is terrible, and if you are in any what squeamish or anything like that, you may want to cover your eyes or ears or other orifices, orifici. Here it comes. Okay, you ready? Well, they had school the next day. School.